Hey, everybody. How are you doing? My name is Melanie, and welcome to our Center for Discovery and Discovery Mood and Anxiety 15-minute Facebook Lives. I actually just did one this morning with Teresa, and now I get to do one with Nicole. And so Nicole is an amazing therapist. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Nicole Siebert. I am the program director at the Vista Mental Health Residential Treatment Program here for Discovery Mood and Anxiety Program. So we've just been continuing on as kind of typical during COVID-19 with adjustments per usual. But yeah, I've always been interested in the mental health field and I really enjoy the work.
Well, and you're so amazing. I mean, like minutes before you get on this Facebook Live, you're meeting with one of the families. So thank you for taking time to be here today. I know everybody's going to be
Sure.
really excited to hear from you. So
Sure.
this is this is a good topic because I think whether or not you've even ever struggled with depression, I think right now people who during this COVID-19 are maybe struggling a little bit more with depression. So the title is Depression and Negative Self-Talk. I mean, who hasn't also had to try to overcome that as well?
Exactly. Exactly. That's
Yeah,
why I think it's so important to talk about
it is. Yeah, I know. And it's May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So that's what we're trying to do is to really have the real combo and help support people. Um, so again, the title is Depression and Negative Self-Talk, and I'm going to ask you your first question.
it. Okay.
What are the symptoms or early warning signs of depression?
I would say the early warning signs for depression is overall going to look different person to person. So I work with teenagers and adolescents here. So I know for teenagers and adolescents, it looks so different compared to the traditional or what people really think of when they think of depression. So overall, though, it would be low energy, loss of motivation, it would be negative self-talk, right? Which gets to our second part of it. In teenagers, irritability, right? So a lot of times that's like teenage angst and having to weigh it out with, is it depression? Is it teenage angst? But that's a big warning sign is just like irritability that's pretty consistent. That feeling of empty or numb, difficulty sleeping, difficulty concentrating. It can be either an increase in appetite where now you're kind of overeating, or it's a decline in appetite that you just don't feel like eating anything. And sometimes for some people, it's a lot of physiological, right? Like symptoms of like stomach pains, headaches, tension. So I would just make sure to take inventory by doing body scans or just checking in to see what am I feeling, how is my energy level. And I know with COVID, it's different for everyone right now, but just trying to stay mindful of that.
Yeah, I know it really is different. And I remember actually when I was younger and struggling with an eating disorder, my mom was like, "Is she just like a moody teenager, or is she, really struggling?" So that can be, yeah, that can be a little bit overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and confusing for the whole family unit. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, second question. How to
Mm-hmm.
combat depression while staying at home?
Yeah, so I think especially with these like stay-at-home orders or kiddos being left for online schooling for a lot of it, big important thing that I feel like keeps getting preached, but it's so important is having routine or schedule. So even if you don't want to get up at your normal wake up time, trying to stick to that, getting up and active and still doing things. So oftentimes utilizing that dialectical behavioral therapy skill of opposite action of I don't want to eat, I don't have an appetite, but I know I'm going to eat a meal because it's going to help my mood. I'm not going to have that big crash later on. or I don't want to get up out of bed. It just like hurts to move or do anything, but I know how important it is to get up and do my hygiene. So I'm going to just go do it, and just trying to do step-by-step little things to help make sure you're having that schedule to help hold you accountable and kind of fight back that kind of depression monster that'll come out time to time.
Mm-hmm. Because it really like just makes you kind of frozen in that moment, like just really, really stuck.
And I think what people forget sometimes is that, you know, we use around this term, oh, I'm so depressed all the times. And it almost kind of takes away the impact that it has when people are struggling with depression. So it's like doing a task like getting up and brushing your teeth, which might seem so trivial and simplistic for someone. Yeah, you just get up, your alarm went off. Takes like maybe like 10, 100 times more effort when you've got this like layer of thick fog over you.
Mm-hmm. And so our clients have, they have very much a schedule that they follow every single day. Is that right?
Yep, whether they like it or not.
Well, and do you notice that like maybe in the morning they're a little bit resistant, but as they go through the day, they're like, okay, I'm happy I had to like get up and brush my teeth and get dressed and
the amount of times I heard the teens here say, you know what, I really hate this schedule here, but I think I need one at home. I'm like, there's a reason why we do it. It's like, yes, having a routine and schedule at times can be so irritating when you're battling depression. It's going against everything that like depression monster is telling you to do. But it's helpful and it does work, and it helps with those mood fluctuations and doing things throughout the day. So
yeah. Well, and so, and it doesn't have to be huge, right? It can just be like really maybe 5 things or something to get through the day so it's not overwhelming.
Yep. It can be super basic, whether it's I'm going to consistently try and wake up and go to bed at this time. I'm going to try and work on school or work for a couple hours a day, just trying to help build that accountability, because then when you accomplish that task, you do feel maybe not right in the moment of doing it, but reflecting back, it's like, oh yeah, I did do something today. I was productive. I was able to accomplish this goal that I set out for myself.
Yeah, that feels good for anybody. So, okay, last question. How to challenge negative self-talk?
Yes. So, which there's so much of it, right? And so I think what we're really trying to focus on, at least here at the program, is the negative talk that's leading to risky behaviors, because everyone's got that negative talk in their head. But what we want to focus on is how to challenge the negative thoughts that are really impacting your self-worth, your view of yourself, your view of others, whether it's suicidal thoughts or urges to self-harm. So trying to, in the moment, pausing, recognizing, is this valid? Like, would my best friend say this about myself? And or you can do significant other, parent, whoever is applicable, but really trying to go, would someone else say this about me? Oftentimes it's no, I'm just being my own worst critic right now. So I think that's a really easy tool for people to use. And then another one that I love, if anyone's ever worked with me here, doing thought records. So there's a bunch of different templates, but what essentially a thought record does is you're writing down what the negative thought is, and you're evaluating how you're feeling. So you're connecting it to your emotions and everything. And then you're actually mapping out what are the facts and evidence that supports the thought and goes against the thought. And that's where oftentimes it's tricky, where people are like, well, I don't have any evidence to support the negative thought. It's all just my opinions. It's not factually based. So it's helping them check the facts and be reality based. And then it goes into generating an alternative, more balanced thought to replace the negative one. So it's helping shift that thought.
That's really helpful. what would you say? Do the clients talk a lot about like maybe getting stuck in a whirlwind of a negative thought? Like it just keeps replaying and replaying. How do you have them overcome that?
So I use the analogy here that with the negative thoughts, it often starts out with one or something that's not too risky, but I refer to it as the like Alice in Wonderland, like rabbit hole of negativity. You just keep getting further and further into it, and it's hard to climb out of it when you realize I'm either catastrophizing with my anxiety, with whether it's not COVID related or whether it is, or I'm focusing on all the negatives, or I have very black and white thinking. I'm personalizing things. So it's just like a compiling effect. So just starting to recognize your self talk, but trying to pause and be present and mindful of what am I saying to myself right now? And then labeling it of, okay, I just said a should statement. I just was doing mind reading with my parents. They didn't say that. I'm just assuming. So trying to name it, to tame it in a sense of just labeling what the negative thoughts are and then using your support system and resources to try and challenge it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is using your resources. Because it is Mental Health Month, it really is like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Have an honest conversation. And we were part of a suicide prevention webcast. And one of the things that they had talked about is that if you're wondering if your child is being like hormonal or not, ask them. Just have that real conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's oftentimes what I tell parents at time of discharge when they graduate from the program is, I'm asking you to gently and politely, but call out the behaviors you see. If we just talk and communicate, then we don't get into these like misinterpretations or assuming, jumping to conclusions, and it's having that dialogue. So we're asking kiddos to do it with parents. Parents, we got to practice what we preach too, and we got to communicate too of like, hey, are you isolating right now? Like, I'm nervous, I'm concerned. You've been in your bedroom for like 3 or 4 hours. No, I just got so wrapped up doing my artwork in my room. I'll come out into the living room or something like that. So I think just really trying to emphasize communicating through things, and that's going to be the best support. If you don't want to do it with your parents or your friends, then reaching out and finding the resources of like a therapist or counselor who's there.
Mm-hmm. And even the crisis text line, 741-741, they can take calls not only if you're feeling suicidal, but just to have that conversation and to do like a check-in. So if you don't feel like comfortable telling people that you know, then there's someone on the other line just waiting to talk to you. So
yeah.
Well, yeah. So thank you. I want to really end on that because I think the conversation is so important. So I want to thank you so much. I hope like no pressure, but maybe come back,
Okay. All right.
After another fail, you're like, my arm's twisted. Yeah.
No worries. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Have a great day. Take care.